Hello, the internet. How are you? My name is Kevin Greenwood. I'm the Joan Danforth Curator of Asian Art at the Allen Memorial Art Museum at Oberlin College. And this video is part of our efforts to bring the museum to you, stuck at home, suffering through this the stay-at-home order in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone here at the museum hopes that you all are doing well, and we appreciate all the likes and supports that you've given us on social media. What I want to do today is talk about a series of Japanese woodblock prints that may relate to our situation. I'm going to do videos in the future that have nothing to do with the COVID-19 crisis to get your mind off of it. But for now, I think we've got these wonderful Japanese prints in the collection that relate to a particular deity in East Asia, in China, Korea, and Japan, that was a protector against plagues and against evil forces. So I'd like to talk a little bit about a deity known in China as Zhong Kui, but in Japan as Shoki or Shoki-san. And since these are all Japanese prints, I may kind of jump back and forth between the name Shoki-san and Zhong Kui. So who is this person? When you see images of him, he's very easily identified. So he's this very fierce looking individual. His eyes are wide open. He has this big bushy beard. He's got crazy hair. He's got big eyebrows, and he wears the sort of official uniform of a scholar in ancient China, in Tang Dynasty China. Particularly notable is the hat that he wears. The hat has these little, basically ties or streamers that come off of it, but the streamers in images of Zhong Kui have a life of their own. They look like little antennae or something that are always pointing in different directions, and you can see that in a number of these images. So who is this guy? He is the protector against, as I said, against malevolent forces. Images of Zhong Kui would be pasted on doorways to protect against evil forces, and at particular times of the year that we'll talk about in just a moment. But let me tell you a little bit of the original tale of Zhong Kui and how he came to be this important figure in East Asian culture. So the legend is that many years ago in the Tang Dynasty, during the reign of the Emperor Ming Huang, who was most famous as a lover, not a fighter. Many romantic tales of the Emperor Ming Huang and the beautiful concubine Yang Guifei. That's what he's most famous for. But in this story, the emperor was hunting with a big hunting party, big entourage. They were in the area of Lishan in Shanxi province, and the emperor got a fever. And so he went back to his tent, lay down on his probably very elaborate bed, and took a rest. And while resting, he had a feverish dream, that he was back in the palace, and the palace was being ransacked by this little demon who was running around causing havoc. And the little demon had stolen the emperor's flute, jade flute, and had also stolen a little brocade, probably perfume sachet that belonged to the beautiful concubine Yang Guifei, right? And the emperor accosted the demon and said, "Get out of here, this is my palace." And the demon refused to go along with that. But suddenly, this big, ugly figure with crazy hair, dressed like a scholar, appeared with a sword, grabbed the demon, and did all sorts of unspeakable things to the demon. And afterward, the emperor said, "Who are you, sir, that has appeared in my palace?" And this is, of course, Zhong Kui. And Zhong Kui said, "I was a scholar back during the reign of your grandfather, the Emperor Gaozong, the first emperor of the Tang Dynasty. And I passed the highest levels of the imperial examination, but I was cheated out of my victory through chicanery. And because of that, in protest, I committed suicide on the palace the palace steps." And then afterwards, the Emperor Gaozong discovered that I had been tricked out of this, and so he posthumously promoted me to the highest rank in the government, or highest rank in the examination. And so out of duty to this emperor, because he did that, I have sworn to protect the emperor from evil forces in the spirit world. And so the Emperor Ming Huang was very happy, and that's basically the story. So from that tale, the tradition of using images of Zhong Kui to protect the family and protect businesses and things like that at different times of year became a regular tradition. So during New Year, to get evil out of your house, you would put images of Zhong Kui on your door. And in China, on the 5th day of the 5th lunar month, a date known as Duanujie. It's in English, I think we know it as the Dragon Boat Festival. The 5th day of the 5th lunar month was believed to be the time of the worst sort of negative forces in the universe, and so you wanted to put protective things out on that particular day. So, with that story in mind, let's take a close look at some of these images to give you a sense of different interpretations of Zhong Kui in Japan over a period of 100 or so years. So let's start with the first one here. It is an image here. It's in a long vertical format known as a pillar print, or hashira-e, and these were made to be pasted on basically the wooden slats of the frame of a sliding door in a traditional Japanese home, and they were it's a format that was developed by an artist named Okumura Masanobu, and this is actually by that same artist. By Masanobu. It's an image of Zhong Kui. As we zoom into it, you can see he has this very fierce facial expression. His eyes are wide open. He's got a frown on his face. His hair is crazy. His little antenna streamers are pointing directly ahead at his enemy. And in his hand, as we scroll down, he's wearing a Chinese style dress. And he's actually pulled his pant legs up and tucked them around a belt to get them out of away from his feet so that he can fight. And he's got a sword, a straight Chinese sword known as a jian in his hand. And all these things would mark him as Chinese in Japan. Of course, Japanese swords are curved, so this was a marker of his status as Chinese. So that here's another image here by the artist Nishimura Shigenaga. That last one was from the early 1750s. This one's from the later 1750s. And the big difference here, I mean, look, his face is just very expressive. He has this dynamic pose. The artist here has really worked within the constraints of that really tight format to suggest a dynamic figure, because his arm is sort of, or his sleeve is flipping outside of the frame of the print. And this is one of the things artists had to do to adapt to this format. But notice the biggest difference here is that this print is mostly red. And red images of Zhong Kui were used to protect specifically against smallpox. And that, of course, was this devastating, terrible plague that affected people throughout the world. So protecting particularly children against smallpox was considered really, really crucial. And so images of Zhong Kui were put up for that, in red, were put up for that particular function. Let's move on to the next one. So we're actually jumping ahead almost 100 years. This is from the 1840s. This is by the great printmaker Kuniyoshi, Utagawa Kuniyoshi. And you can see here, Kuniyoshi is known for dynamic images of warriors and drama. And you can see here that the way that his stance is very powerful. His sleeves are flying all over the place. His hair is being blown in all directions. The little streamers of his hat are going off in different directions. Look at his eyes. Little touches of blue in his eyes. It really make him stand out very dramatically. And as we move down, you can see a little bit of flesh tone on his face and on his arm. He's got this hairy arm, which is something that Kuniyoshi loved to represent. And he's got a sword that's blue, right? It's very dramatic. But over behind him, to the left, is a little demon in red who's is crawling away in fear from Zhong Kui, hoping that he doesn't get noticed, right, before he can escape out of the frame. So, amazing work by Utagawa Kuniyoshi. The next is by another of the major figures in the Utagawa school of printmakers. This is Hiroshige, who's probably best known for his amazing landscapes, but he also did functional religious images like this that could be pasted up on your doorway. This one is very different from Kuniyoshi. It's a much more sort of intense, internal interpretation of Zhong Kui's energy and dynamism. He's not flailing around. He seems to be, all of that intensity is focused on the eyes and his facial expression. His eyes are, one eye is slightly crooked, right, to give him this sense of intense emotion that was seen in the kabuki theater, right, where you would cross your eyes differently to give a sense of strong emotion. But if we look at the actual character of the brush strokes here that have, really the artist is kind of showing off the use of the brush and giving a sense of spontaneity, because you can see the little, like, it's called the flying white technique. You can see little streamers of white as if the brush was kind of dry, right? As if the artist is, making the lines very quickly without dipping his brush frequently. So that gave this sense of spontaneity and dynamism, a different way of conveying those things from Kuniyoshi's much more dynamic composition. Anyway, Utagawa Hiroshige, just an amazing work. The next one is a lot of fun. So this is a little bit later. So this is from the 1890s. This is by Tsukioka Yoshitoshi, who was a student of Kuniyoshi that we just saw. Also known for, ghost stories and, tales of horror and drama. So this Zhong Kui just kind of falls into that tradition. And here we have this very narrative image. So the title of the print in the upper right says that this is the Emperor's Dream, right? The dream of Zhong Kui. And we are in a setting that's very much would be identified by Japanese viewers as a Chinese setting, with the lacquered bed frame and the curtains hanging down, the sort of beautiful textiles and the decorative red knots hanging there, the candlestick holder, and of course his outfit. All of this would be markers of this is happening in China. Again, Zhong Kui is shown in a very dynamic way, with his sleeves are blowing. Even the sash of his belt is sort of being blown by the wind. His hair is flying everywhere. He's standing in this sort of restrained pose, a defensive posture, waiting for the demon to attack. And behind him, cowering in fear, is this little demon. I love the horns, and he's got these teeth that are sticking out. His eyes are yellow, and he's grasping in his hand the flute that's part of the story, right? The jade flute that he stole from the emperor. All these elements are just absolutely wonderful. So this wonderful interpretation of the narrative of that original story. The next print we're going to is also by Yoshitoshi. This one dates to the 1880s, I think 1882. And it brings in another important, specifically Japanese dimension of the story of Zhong Kui. Now, in China, the 5th day of the 5th month is known for the Dragon Boat Festival and all kinds of things related to that. But in Japan, it's known as Children's Day, or at least before 1948, it was known as Boys' Day, but then it was changed to General Day for Children. And one of the most, the key markers of this day is the use of these fish-shaped windsocks, basically kites. And I've got one here to show you. Actually, I've got two here to show you, and this will help us to understand what's going on in that print. So these are the windsocks that you hang up on a pole above your house on Children's Day, and you have one for each child that you have, and they go from there's a father fish, a mother fish, and then children fish. I have two because I have two kids. And what they represent, because when the wind blows, they look like they're swimming upstream. Carp were symbols of striving to reach your goals, right? Because the carp, like salmon, had to swim upstream to spawn. So they represent this idea of striving to achieve your goals. So and you hang them up on Children's Day, as I think I mentioned. So what we have here is a demon who has torn down one of these carp kites. And he's in fact using it like a sleeping bag. He's crawled inside of it. He's unconscious. He's taking a little nap. You can see how his leg has burst through the side of the streamer there, and his mouth is open. He's probably snoring, right? And as we pull back a little bit, we can see that Zhong Kui is sneaking up on him to grab that demon and send him back whence he came. Now, this image that we just saw, and then this image that we're looking at right now, these both portray Zhong Kui in sort of a comical light. And toward the end of the Edo period, the period of rule by the samurai, there was a popularity in these prints that were mass produced for the public of showing sort of figures of authority in a kind of a comical way, and that included deities like Zhong Kui. And this is often interpreted as a kind of critique of the samurai, right? The samurai rule was sort of falling apart, in the 1850s, and eventually led to the kicking out the samurai in the Meiji period. So this idea of showing figures of authority in a sort of a comical way, I think is shown very clearly in this image of Zhong Kui. It looks like it's sort of been dashed off very quickly by a few brush strokes. He has this cute cartoony sort of face, but you can still identify the markers of him. The crazy hair that's going everywhere. Perhaps those are supposed to be those little tassels that stick off of his hat. He's got this sword. He's standing there in this very dramatic sort of stance, right? Ready to fight evil for anyone, for the family. All right, so that is a quick introduction to this very important figure in East Asia, Zhong Kui, the protector against evil, protector against plagues. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're all taking care of yourself, and I look forward to presenting more art to you in the future. Thank you very much.